Okay, first a couple of minor updates. When I used to have I have a memory chip in the camera. Memory chip was 2 hours long. What I would do is I would make all my videos. When the chip got full, I would put them on USB drives, and I would erase the chip and start over from scratch. Over the past couple of years of doing that, it took its toll on the chip. Now my chip has low definition here and ultra high definition here. Right now it's on the highest definition setting, and a couple in between. It got to the point where the memory chip was worn so low that I literally had, at the lowest setting, which my last few videos were, 20 minutes of memory. The highest setting was like 8 minutes of memory. I got a new chip, and on its highest level of definition, which it is now, the chip is 4.5 hours of memory. So there'll be no more 20-minute videos of me having Alexa set timers and shit like that. Because I would have Alexa set the timer, because once the camera goes past 20 minutes, the chip freezes or whatever the fuck. So I have a 4.5 hour long chip, and I can afford to go a little slower. I can afford to take more time as long as the battery doesn't die, or I can just plug the battery into the wall and have it run there. Now, a few days ago, it was reported in the news that Maisie Williams, who plays Arya Stark, Lena Headey, who plays Cersei Lannister, and Liam Cunningham, who plays Sir Davos of House Seaworth on Game of Thrones, were visiting Syrian refugees at a Syrian refugee camp in Greece. And to their credit, they found a lot of nice people to put a face to the refugee crisis. And don't forget, there were many refugee crises throughout history. Some Jews tried to get out. Some Jews were smart in Europe, and they tried to make it to Switzerland or to England or to America. Some were not that lucky. Some were turned back. Okay, we've had refugee problems throughout history. And you have a whole bunch of people that try to escape oppression, try to escape genocide, try to escape race laws, or God knows what the fuck else is going on in the fucking world. And the issue is, it's a humanitarian crisis, which it is. Now, for the disclaimer, none of these people, I follow none of these people on Twitter. Liam Cunningham, remember a couple of years ago, Hamas was really stepping up strikes against Israel, and Israel did fight back a little bit, and Palestine would call for a ceasefire, and then they would violate their own ceasefire. Okay, well, Hamas was killing Jews left and right a few years ago, and Liam Cunningham was sending out a lot of anti-Israel propaganda. Like, he was sympathizing with the Palestinians, and the Palestinians were silent as Hamas was killing fucking Jews. Okay, you look at, and my grandfather liberated a Nazi death camp, and only God knows how many lives he saved, and his men, I should say, was with him alone. So I do not tolerate that, and I unfollowed him. I have no reason to follow him anymore. Maisie Williams was the first person I followed when I started up my Twitter account. She also became the first celebrity ever to block me on Twitter. And I was looking through a few Game of Thrones profiles last week, and I realized I wasn't following Lena Headey. She blocked me too. I actually forgot about that. 7 women from Game of Thrones have blocked me on Twitter. And I forgot that Lena Headey was one of them. I thought it was 6 of them being Lena Headey. So Lena Headey and Maisie Williams don't like me very much, so fuck them. Well, I digress. Now, if you remember, a few years ago, a lot of celebrities and miscellaneous others were hashtag welcome refugees in Europe. One of them was Emma Watson. Emma Watson, who plays Hermione Granger. Little known fact, Emma Watson and Maisie Williams have the same birthday, April 15th. And Michelle Farley played both of their mothers at one point or another. Yep. And after the Paris attacks last year, a lot of people were going on Twitter, and they were actually cursing out Emma Watson and a couple other celebrities. And they're like, hashtag welcome refugees, and you will see a fucking picture of dead bodies in the street. Then you got Paris. Then you got Paris. You got Brussels. You got Istanbul, Turkey. You got Orlando. You got San Bernardino. You got Boston. Okay, now Boston, the Tsarnaev brothers were refugees who kept going back and forth for some strange reason, and the Russian government had to watch these fucking guys, and we didn't, and boom. Okay, San Bernardino terrorist, same situation. He's an American citizen. He finds a radicalized bride in the Middle East, brings her home on a fiancé visa. Boom. Orlando shooter. His father's a Taliban sympathizer. His father should have been allowed in this country. He was born in this country. The FBI had a dozen warnings on him. Boom. Okay, Brussels, boom. Istanbul, boom. Okay, all this fucking boom shit. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that most of the Syrian refugees and most of the Iraqi refugees are good people. And if you notice, ISIS tried to wipe out Christians in Iraq. There were Christian communities in Iraq that were founded by the apostles of Christ himself. And they've been in practice ever since, and ISIS is wiping them out. So they're not all Muslims. There are some Christians, there are some atheists, there may have been a couple of fucking Jews now. But the issue is that we have a whole bunch of guys that are running out of the Middle East. Now here's the problem. If we all remember Hurricane Katrina, and guys my age and older remember Hurricane Andrew. If Christians and Jews ran to the Middle East after Hurricane Andrew, after Hurricane Katrina, and they asked for asylum, would they get it from Muslim countries? No. There are Muslim countries in the Middle East that don't like each other very much and are very poor, okay? But there are also Muslim countries in the Middle East that have, there's fucking people in Saudi Arabia that have silver cars and palaces with walls of gold from the oil market. Okay, they can afford to take care of the refugees. Look at Dubai. 50, 60, 70 years ago, everyone and their mother wanted to go to the Middle East. It was said 50 years ago that Beirut was the Las Vegas of the Middle East. Beirut had nightclubs. Beirut had casinos. Not so much anymore, obviously. Well, Dubai now is what the Middle East was 60, 70 years ago. Peace, happiness, money, vacation spots. Okay, Dubai is very, very peaceful, especially when you compare it to the rest of the fucking Middle East. Okay, Dubai has enough money where they could build a small city and put the refugees there. Okay, why don't they? Some billionaire somewhere said, I can buy a small island, I can give it to the refugees for free, and they can declare independence and they can be their own country. Okay, how about that? Donald Trump said we should get refugee communities, fence them in, houses for them, schools for them, mosques for them, military guard for them, and we should send the fucking bill to the Middle Eastern countries. I don't know. Well, the problem with Maisie Williams, Lena Headey, and Liam Cunningham is that they're fucking dumbasses. Okay? And the reason why I say this is simple. Because they're doing this after Brussels, after Paris, after Istanbul. It might have been the day before. It was around the same time as Istanbul, I'm sorry. But they want to ask the European countries to reconsider letting in more refugees. Really? The reason why England, which Maisie Williams and Liam Cunningham hail from, the reason why I think is he England? I know what Maisie Williams is, but the reason why England did the Brexit thing was simple. The European Union was kind of like the United States, and Brussels was kind of like Washington, D.C., and all the laws came from the centralized government, but on a much crazier scale. Britain was giving £20 billion a year in, getting back £10 billion a year. And poor countries like Greece were riding the fucking gravy train. It was like a fucking glorified welfare state. Remember the train hijacker and the four men, freedom for American friends? And one was a Frenchman, they tackled him, and yeah. Okay. That guy went through several countries without being stopped for his passport. There were people that were allowed to go from country to country to country without a passport in the European Union. Britain has a really serious problem with Muslim migration, whereas radical Muslims are coming into England like crazy, and they're isolating themselves from the rest of the public, and they don't want to be British, they want to be Muslims in Britain. They don't want to adopt British custom. They don't want to obey British law. And there are some that are actually fucking fanatical. And that's the reason why Britain broke away. Because Britain wants to control its own immigration. They want to say, you can come here because you like us, or no, you can't come here because you're a fucking lunatic. Well, here's the issue. Most of these people are good people. But what about the 1 person out of 1,000? It only takes 1 person to shoot up a nightclub. It only takes 1 person to hijack a plane. It only takes 1 person to set up a bomb. Look at what 19 guys did with box cutters on September 11th. Look at what 1 guy did with a tactical carbine in Orlando. Look at what 2 people did in San Bernardino with tactical carbines and handguns. Look at what 2 brothers did in Boston with pressure cookers. Okay? The problem is that ISIS, Al Qaeda, Hamas, Hezbollah, all these countries, they're all the same. They're all this, even though they might have different short-term goals, the major long-term goal is the same. And they're gonna put a couple of people in between here and there. You're gonna have 10,000 innocent refugees that want peace, and you're gonna have 3 guys from ISIS infiltrate. And that's the problem that Maisie, Lena, and Liam are not seeing. Okay? And that's the problem a lot of these fucking celebrities with their hashtags are not seeing. Okay? This is being said after Brussels, after Paris. Okay? We cannot allow these guys into the Western Hemisphere unless we know who they are. And if we don't know who they are, we can't let them in. And it's time for my stupid celebrity friends to see this shit. And, you know, they put a good happy face on it. This guy was a doctor in his home country. This woman was a nurse in her home country. This guy was a judge. This guy wanted to be an actor. Maisie Williams sat down with a young girl who wants to be a fucking actress. Okay, I mean, and most of them are good people. But the problem is, they're fleeing terrorism. And if a couple of terrorists sneak in with them, they're going to be trading one terror state for the next. So why don't these fucking idiot celebrities, okay, all of them together, get down off the high horse and go tell the fucking Middle Eastern countries, hey, these are your fucking people. Okay? They come from your region of the world. They practice your religion. They have your climate. You know, they're acclimated to your climate. They're acclimated to your food. They're acclimated to your whatever the hell. Okay? Why the fuck should all these countries in Europe and all these countries in North America take in all these fucking refugees? And why is it that the Middle Eastern countries don't lift the fucking finger? Do you know every single Middle Eastern country that has money has refused these people? Or not giving a shit at all? And you got Red Cross, you got America, you got all these democratic countries that are founded on Judeo-Christian values, and they're all going over there with food and medicine and MREs and all that other bullshit, and they're okay. And how many fucking doctors and nurses has Saudi Arabia sent over to these refugee camps? Okay, how much fucking money has Dubai given these refugees? Okay. When a crisis happens in America, if there was, well, we haven't really had a lot of terrorist takeovers in America where a terrorist takes over an entire state like they do in the Middle East. But if you have victims of a terrorist attack in America, like 9/11, okay, if you have victims of a natural disaster like Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Katrina, okay, all these fucking tornadoes, all this other fucking bullshit, Hurricane Sandy, okay, why is it that America has to go in and help its own people, but yet I don't see Saudi Arabia sending money to America when America has a hurricane? I don't see Dubai sending money to America when America has a hurricane, okay? When that London train attack happened a decade ago, I didn't see all these fucking Middle Eastern countries saying, you know what, if your people have no place to live, let them live here. Okay? So, these fucking celebrities gotta learn their fucking lesson, okay? Because you know what's gonna happen? Maisie Williams, Lena Headey, and Liam Cunningham are gonna convince the European Union to let more fucking refugees in. And they're gonna succeed. And one of those refugees is gonna be an ISIS terrorist. and that motherfucker's gonna set up a bomb, and you're gonna see a picture of Lena, Liam, and Maisie standing in the fucking refugee camp posing for a photo, and it's gonna say hashtag welcome refugees. Why am I always right? I'm always right. I don't know why. Maybe people should fucking listen to me. I don't know. Thank you.